Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my best friend's wedding after she replaced me as maid of honor because I'm too fat, I'm pregnant, and asking her to pay me back for everything? I, 27 female, have been best friends with Claire, 28 female, since high school. When she asked me to be her maid of honor, I was thrilled and went all out to make her wedding special. I paid for the bridal shower, the bachelorette party, a weekend trip, decorations, and other expenses, spending several $1,000s. While it was a lot of money for my husband and me, I wanted to make her big day perfect because she's like family to me. 2 months ago, I shared that I'm 4 months pregnant. Claire congratulated me but started acting distant afterward. She excluded me from conversations about the wedding and made passive comments about how hard it is to coordinate when people are distracted. I brushed it off, thinking it was just wedding stress. A few days ago, she sat me down and told me she didn't want me in the wedding anymore. Her reason? I'm getting too fat, and she doesn't want me in the pictures. She said she has a specific vision for her wedding, and I no longer fit it. I was devastated. I asked if this was about my pregnancy, but she insisted it wasn't personal. She said she was replacing me as maid of honor with another friend who fit her aesthetic. I told her if I wasn't in the wedding, I wouldn't attend at all. I also handed her the receipts for everything I'd paid for and told her she or her fiancé needed to reimburse me, since I'd only spent that money as her maid of honor. Claire flipped out, calling me selfish and accusing me of trying to ruin her wedding. She said it was tacky to ask for the money back, and that expenses like these were my responsibility as maid of honor. I reminded her that she removed me from that role, so those expenses were no longer mine. Since then, Claire, her fiancé, and even her family have been spamming me with calls and texts. They're accusing me of being petty and overreacting because of pregnancy hormones. They're also saying I should have just let it go and written off the money because weddings are stressful. And Claire didn't mean to hurt me. My husband has been incredibly supportive and says I did the right thing. He is furious at how Claire treated me and agrees that I shouldn't be out thousands of dollars for a wedding I'm not part of. I feel heartbroken and humiliated by someone I thought was my best friend. Still, the constant backlash has made me second-guess myself. Am I the a-hole for standing up for myself and asking for reimbursement? Should I have just quietly stepped aside? Not the a-hole. She said it was tacky to ask for the money back. She didn't want me in the wedding anymore. Her reason? I'm getting too fat, and she doesn't want me in the pictures. Bruh. It sounds like a big joke. I didn't think stuff like this actually happened in real life, and I never expected it from her. Sounds to me like she's afraid of being upstaged main character syndrome. She also waited till it was close enough to the wedding where the majority of the expensive costs were paid for before releasing OP from her duties. You're damn right to ask for that money back. Take her to small claims if you have to. Threat her with that too. She's literally thought she could tell OP she's getting fat. Weird how she uses that term and not pregnant to describe OP, and OP would just roll over and take it without a word. The way her family's behaving proves that they know exactly what she said to OP also. Good for you for standing up for yourself. You are not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole, and I wouldn't be calling her a friend. It's just hard when she completely changed out of nowhere. I have never seen this side of her before. Not the a-hole. Glad your husband has your back. Both of you can enjoy some quiet time instead of Claire's aesthetic. You shouldn't be out thousands of dollars, but unfortunately you are now out one friend. She has chosen photos over friendship. There's nothing wrong with asking for reimbursement for the money you spent in a role you were fired from. If necessary, file in small claims court and be petty. Do it before the wedding to recoup your money. Pregnancy hormones have nothing to do with this. They're claiming you're overreacting because they want you to believe it isn't a big deal and that you should let it go. Translation, they don't have the funds to repay you. If Claire didn't mean to hurt you, she wouldn't have done what she did, and she would be apologizing profusely. Neither of those things happened because she's not truly a friend. Just remember, photos first. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my sister's kids after she publicly called me irresponsible in front of our whole family? I, 26 female, I'm the younger sister to Emma, 34 female, who has 3 kids. 7, 4, and 2. Emma has been a single mom for the past few years, and while I respect her hard work, I feel like I've been roped into this unofficial, secondary parent role without my consent. Even though I love it at times, it is stressful. Over the past year, she's come to rely on me as her primary babysitter. She often asks me to watch the kids at the last minute because she needs a break or wants to run errands without the stress. I've canceled my plans more times than I can count to help her out. And I did it because I wanted to, because she is my sister. But last weekend, I finally had something I was looking forward to, a close friend's birthday dinner. I'd been helping her plan it for weeks, and we were supposed to have this amazing girls' night at a fancy restaurant, followed by karaoke, something I never get to do because of how much I'm helping my sister. On the day of the party, Emma texted me in the afternoon, asking if I could watch the kids for a few hours so she could recharge. I told her I couldn't because of my plans and expected her to respect that, which she seemingly did. I assumed she found someone else or worked it out in the end. Then, fast forward to the next evening at a family dinner. Out of nowhere, Emma goes off on me in front of everyone, saying I'm irresponsible, self-centered, and that I have no idea what it's like to be a real adult, since I don't have kids of my own. She even went on about how she sacrifices everything for her kids while I party around like a teenager. I was mortified and honestly heartbroken. This was in front of our parents, aunts, uncles, everyone. After dinner, I told her that I was done babysitting until she could apologize and start treating me with respect. She's been furious, saying I'm abandoning her and that family should be there no matter what. It made me feel really bad, and I felt as if I had abandoned her as a sister with this demand. My mom, of course, took her side, saying I should let it go because Emma's stressed and just needs my support as she is a single mom and yada yada yada. I get that being a single mom is tough, and I am her sister, and she has helped me out a lot too. But on the other hand, I feel like I'm being guilt-tripped and treated like her backup parent, not even a babysitter who can have other plans. Am I the a-hole for saying enough is enough and setting this boundary? Not the a-hole. Her being a single mother is her damn problem, not yours. There is no way I would ever babysit for that woman ever again. She even went on about how she sacrifices everything for her kids while I party around like a teenager. Of course she's the one that has to sacrifice. It's her responsibility as their parent. How is the fact that you party even relevant to her kids? You've already done more than enough to babysit for your niece/nephew's OB. I know the kids know and love you for that too. Never babysit for her again and move out as soon as you can. Your family openly takes you for granted. Your sister thinks you're her servant, not the a-hole. Setting boundaries is crucial. Your sister needs to realize you have your own life too. Don't let her guilt trip you into babysitting again. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Babysitting doesn't mean signing up for lifelong on-call backup. If Emma wants support no matter what, maybe she should start with respecting your plans. She can't roast you in front of the family and then expect you to be her go-to. Boundaries aren't abandonment, they're just healthy. Edit. Okay, so lots of people in the comments encouraged me to set up firm boundaries. Lots of great advice here in my opinion. Everyone's so positive and reminding me that boundaries are key. Now I see that I really do need to hold firm on them. Setting limits is something I've struggled with, especially when it's family. No apology from her yet, but I'll stay strong. Thanks so much for the support. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not doing everything to help my parents afford treatments for my brother? When my brother 18 male was 4 and I 16 male was 2, he was diagnosed with blood cancer. He'd been sick for a little while, and our parents initially thought he had a flu or something. Because they didn't get him the help right away, they felt guilty and devoted every second to him from that point forward. It was supposed to be until he was cancer-free, but by the time we were 8 and 6, and they had become so used to focusing only on him. I spent most of my time with an uncle who lived nearby or with neighbors when my brother was undergoing treatment. My uncle didn't like having me around, and the neighbors were busy with their own kids, so I got used to being ignored and forgotten. When my brother was finally back home and I wasn't sent away anymore, I was already used to being alone and taking care of myself. My relationship with my parents has never been close, and it's the same with my brother. Both of us feel more like only children, and he's given me a hard time for telling our parents that I'd like some of their attention too. They always told me he needed it more, and he considered me a drama queen. The last time I said anything, which was about 3 years ago, he said he didn't realize boys could be as dramatic as girls. My brother's cancer came back 5 years ago, but it was dealt with early, and he didn't have treatment for very long. After that, he seemed better in all ways. He had more energy, his appetite was better, and he was doing things he'd never had the energy to do before. About a year ago, my mom's parents moved closer to us and they focused on me, which bonded us quickly. I now spend a lot of time with them, even spending the night there sometimes. I also shifted my focus completely away from my parents and no longer sought their attention. In July, my brother's cancer returned again, but it's different this time. I wasn't given much information. Treatments are complicated, and there's talk of him possibly going to Germany and maybe Switzerland for treatments we don't have here. My parents have been working more hours to help pay for this, and I've been spending even more time with my grandparents. My absence wasn't noticed until my parents wanted me to help raise money and maybe get tested if necessary. They suggested I could start fundraisers and get a job. I already have one, but my parents never noticed. I told them I wasn't going to help with that, and that it was up to the three of them to figure it out. They yelled at me, but my grandparents stepped in and said I wasn't responsible for this. My parents argued that it's about helping family, my own brother, and asked how I could even consider not doing everything to help. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. First off, you deserve the same love and attention from your parents, who are morons, not only for ignoring you but expecting you to help pay for treatments. You are a child, not the parent, so it's not on you to do anything of that BS. Second, I don't care what condition your brother has. That doesn't give him the right to treat you badly or act like a spoiled brat. He should have been called out on that long time ago and put in his place. And third, the he's your brother/your family card is a load of crap. You don't owe him or anyone else a thing, but he and your parents are a-holes and need to get over themselves. Just like they need to realize what crappy people they are for doing all of this to you. And parents wonder why glass children abandon them when the golden child is no longer available. My sister was very sick growing up. It was always, your sister comes first until she's healthy. But when she was healthy, they did their best to make it up to me. Even when she was sick, they rarely, if ever, missed my events. If my sister acted out, as all kids sometimes do, she was lectured, just because you're sick doesn't mean you can act like an a-hole. I think most compassionate siblings understand when their brother or sister is sick. It's okay to take a backseat occasionally, to be understanding occasionally. But it's never okay to be second for so long that they don't even notice you're missing. Your parents succeed in dealing and taking care of your sick sister and raising her without basically abandoning you. Kudos to them. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking for the unborn child's child support? My partner, 31 male, and I, 32 female, have been together for 2.5 years. We've known each other for over a decade, and our friends and family get along well. He proposed to me in March this year. I got pregnant in July, and we got married in August. In August, we started arguing a lot. I wasn't working at a time, and my partner had just started a new job. The hormone changes impacted me mentally, and I was depressed. My partner is Canadian, and we were living overseas. He wanted to spend time with his friends in Toronto, and even though I needed him to stay with me during my difficult time, he left. I joined him as soon as my OBGYN cleared me to travel. Things felt a bit better after arriving in Toronto. We stayed at his father's house in the suburbs because his actual house was rented out to his friends. We talked about starting our life back in Toronto. He seemed happier surrounded by his family and friends, and I decided to give birth in Canada. But there were issues with housing, visas, and healthcare. I asked my partner to sponsor my PR so I could stay in Canada with him. He said he would, but he never did. During this time, my needs for emotional support, visa support, and financial support were never met. He started stonewalling me and told all our mutual friends his negative perspective of me. Since he's Canadian and knows our friends longer than I do, those people never asked me how I was doing or even congratulated me on my pregnancy. I learned that one friend even expressed sympathy for my partner, telling him he was sorry he had to go through a rough time. I couldn't believe how I was treated within this community. I gave my partner an ultimatum to complete the visa paperwork, specifically the parts that required a sponsor's input. He tried but didn't finish it on time, saying he didn't expect it to be so difficult. I thanked him for trying but lost hope in staying there any longer without having my basic needs met. On the day of my flight, he told me he had started taking SSRIs. We had been planning a wedding in October outside of Canada, and I suggested he focus on his health. So we ultimately canceled the wedding, which I had planned alone while he watched movies with his buddies. He then began shutting down completely. We started couples therapy, and he told our therapist that he enjoyed a time apart and wanted to consider separation. I was devastated. I feared abandonment, especially since I was carrying his baby. He was no longer there when I needed him, and he didn't even call me on my birthday. A week later, he went out to Halloween parties with his friends and later told me how fun it was. He got sick afterward and mentioned he missed me for making him soup. After a month of being stonewalled, something inside me broke. I had respected his pace, persisted despite the uncertainty, and listened to his venting in therapy. But what was I getting out of this relationship? I realized it was nothing. Nothing in this relationship was serving me. I told him I was okay with separating if it made him happier. He responded, "Sure, if that's what you want." At this point, I figured he had commitment issues and disliked taking responsibility for decisions. I told him he should at least be responsible for child support after the divorce. He said I was being ridiculous. Am I being ridiculous? Is a depressed white man allowed to do whatever he wants for as long as he wants and still feel righteous? Not the a-hole. Child support isn't about him. It's about making sure the baby is supported. If he's ready to party but not parent, it's fair to ask him to step up where it counts. Child support is essential for the child's well-being. His right to enjoy life shouldn't overshadow his responsibilities as a parent, especially during such a crucial time. Not the a-hole. I would assume that the child's father is responsible for paying child support in most jurisdictions. Thank you. I believe so too. Really appreciate your input.